How do you do that stupid floss dance from 2 years ago? Good day, everybody. Welcome back to another video. My name is Yeston. We're gonna get right into this. New cars suck. They really do. And why exactly do I want to have this discussion today, and what the heck do I mean by it? See, I feel like the design of a lot of new things, a lot of things in general, are getting stale. Now, of course, when you look at history, there's different eras of art and design. And currently we are in that era of modernism. And that's fine, there's a lot of modernist things that are quite nice. The problem comes when you take that and you don't try to revolutionize, innovate, or improve on it. And I feel like that's becoming extremely prevalent in the automobile industry. Now, yes, automobile brands have their own brand identities. They have their slight design cues that you're going to look at a car and think, oh yeah, that's a Toyota, or oh yeah, that's a Nissan, or oh yeah, that's a Chevy, things like that. A very good example, although not affordable for most people, would be Bugatti. Bugatti has the horseshoe shaped grille that you find on pretty much all their cars. Jeep is a good example, a more affordable for everyone example, with the grille that's made up of multiple lines. You could look at a car, you could see that and be like, yeah, that's a Jeep. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But now you're having an issue where that's starting to sort of fade. There's always this gray line between automobile brands where, obviously some things are going to be similar about, say, one brand's car compared to another brand's car. And, that's just because a lot of cars, fell under different categories like sedan or coupe or hatchback. A lot of those cars were going to have similar structures because it's a type of car. So there was always those gray lines, but I feel like those gray lines are starting to blur now. In which, even though you still have those categories of vehicles, the designs of the vehicles themselves are starting to become increasingly difficult to tell which brand is which, and everything is starting to sort of look like the same car. Now, no, I'm using cars as an example for this video specifically because I love cars. I'm a big car guy. But note that I've been sort of noticing, a huge use in minimalism and just simplistic forms in other industries as well. Some is perfectly fine and is actually really nice, and others just, why are you selling it for $1,000 when it's usually worth like 30? Because it's modern? In this case, for the automobile industry, it's not exactly the same. Let me give you an example. Recently, as in just a few months ago, the brand new 2023 Acura Integra was announced. Now, the Integra name is a revived name. Back in the 90s, the Acura Integra was a very famous Japanese car. It was a small little car, a sedan, at its base platform, but it was most known for its coupe Type S version. Granted, the Integra was sort of just a rebadged Honda Civic, because of course Acura is Honda's luxury brand, still is. But it won the hearts of a lot of automotive enthusiasts. It was a fun little car, it was a cheap little car. Granted, now they are not cheap. But then it was discontinued because lower sales, and at the end of the day, it was just a Honda Civic. And the Civic stuck around, better sales, slightly cheaper. Now the Integra has been returned. That sounds great, right? It sounds fantastic, a beloved car is being brought back. The problem herein lies, though, how it was brought back. Yes, the Integra was originally, as a base model, a sedan. It was a boring sedan, kind of like a base model Civic is. Not all Civics come from the factory as Type R sporty Civics. From a marketing standpoint, it makes sense to bring back the Integra name. The problem, of course, and technically Acura is correct in this case, they are bringing it back how it originally debuted, as an Econobox, as a sedan. But the reason that anybody remembers the Integra name is not because of the base model. It's because of the Type S and the Type R versions of the Integra, the coupe, the sporty version. That's the only reason Those two trim levels are the only reason that the Integra is famous. So it's being brought back as not that version. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that just sounds like car guys being mad, you know? How is that an issue? They wanted to bring back a legendary name, a legendary model. They brought it back how it originally debuted. What's wrong with that? And in reality, there wouldn't be too much wrong with that. I wouldn't doubt that they will probably release a Type S trim for the Integra at some point. Would it be a coupe? Maybe not. Probably not. People don't really buy coupes anymore, sadly. At least not in the US. I have no doubt that maybe at some point Acura will do that. That's not the issue. The issue is when you look at the design of the new Integra. Remember that at the time that the Integra first came out, it was the only sedan in Acura's lineup that was that small. Acura's other sedans were much larger, more executive sedans. But currently, Acura does have another sedan of the same size as the Integra, which also happens to look way too similar. When you look at the 2022 Acura ILX, well, you can see subtle differences, yes, of course, but it's not like they're absolutely massive. The rear of the new Integra is probably a bit more flat, slightly flowier, but it's not like it's a massive difference. And then you look at the front of the Integra, and it's basically exactly the same as the ILX. From a distance, it'd be really hard to tell the difference between a 2023 Integra and a 2022 ILX. And they're not that much different in size either. They're going to fulfill exactly the same purpose. But perhaps there are better examples than that to try to explain this. Let's take the 2022 Chevy Malibu and the 2022 Chevy Cruze. Now, yes, immediately you can tell they are different sizes. The Malibu is longer and wider than the Cruze is. And you could argue that that would be for space, because, you know, you need more space. But at the end of the day, if you need space, you don't get a sedan. In this case, you would get a Malibu more so for comfort, because, you know, bigger vehicle, slightly more space, more comfort. The Chevy Cruze is a bit smaller, but, you know, they share about the same design cues. And of course, you know, we're in this generation of Chevy, you know, where all their designs are going to kind of work off of each other. That's how a lot of brands have worked throughout history. They make a lot of their cars look similar because that's the design phase that the brand is going through at the time. The problem herein lies that the cars come with the exact same engine. So let me get this straight. I'm going to be paying, I don't know how much more for a Chevy Malibu for like an extra foot or two longer car. That's about it. Note that most of that space comes on the outside. The inside grows, but not a crazy amount. And this is the issue with a lot of newer cars. They're starting to sort of look like the exact same car with maybe slight size differences, but they run on the exact same engines. They're all basically the same car with just slightly different sizes. But because one has this name or one has this other name, the prices can be drastically different for something that's not all that different in reality. You're getting the same car, essentially, for way too much more money sometimes. And that's what I'm seeing is an issue. Designs are not being innovated on. It's not becoming interesting. There's nothing that really, at least from a design standpoint, that sets a lot of these newer cars apart from each other within the same brands. And there's quite a few brands that are doing this, and it starts to make you really wonder where this simplicity or modernism approach in a lot of industries is going. Why is it that we're producing basically the same thing for drastically different prices? Why are we not innovating anymore? I feel like design in general is starting to get stale. The minimalism is taking over, and that causes just a lot of things to dumb down a lot. Now, this might be a controversial opinion, but it's my opinion, and that's where I see things going, and I'm not sure I like it. I'm not saying that everything has to be overly complicated. I too am somebody who enjoys in a lot of minimalistic things. I'm not somebody who likes these crazy details all over the place. I'm not somebody who likes just like random just colors all over the place, like 5, 6, 7 different colors, 20 different shapes on something. Like, no. I'm not saying that at all. I do like my fair share of simplicity, but simplicity and minimalism aren't necessarily the same. Even like though these cars I wouldn't consider minimalistic whatsoever, I feel like it's starting to kind of go in that direction, and also where it's like everything is becoming the same thing. It makes it maybe a little bit easier to develop. It makes it quicker to develop new generations of vehicles, but it really kind of loses brand identity. It also really just kind of loses the purpose for what's the point of having different models. Why do we even have the Malibu and the Cruze, and why do we have all these different names if they're basically the same vehicle? Just do Malibu small, Malibu medium, and Malibu large if that's all we're going to be doing. Same engine, very similar looking design, almost the same looking design. What's the point? Because then you end up having a car like the Cruze and then the Malibu. And even though they share a lot of the same parts because same engine, you end up having cars with slightly different designs, which means that you have to buy different tail lights for the Cruze than for the Malibu. Different headlights for each one, different door panels because maybe they're slightly different and the lines are maybe just slightly off, but from a distance they look basically exactly the same. What are we getting at? Is this all for money at this point? Take something that looks practically the same but is slightly different so that technically if somebody owns one or the other, they have to buy the specific part for that car or else it's going to be slightly off. I see the same problem with the way the engine bays are being designed now, with the way that parts are being placed around the engine and making it, for some reason, a lot more complicated to fix cars that are newer. It all goes down to money. Because the more complicated one of those engines is to fix, you have to take it to the dealership, you pay more money to the company themselves to fix it for you. So, my recommendation for those of you that are trying to get into design or want to get into design at some point, be different, be innovative, revolutionize. If somebody tells you that something's not going to work because it's not the norm, don't listen. It's not supposed to be the norm. We're at the point that we are now in humanity's history because of people that did not follow the norm. So don't. Anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this little rant slash discussion slash talk. If you guys want to discuss more with me about it, maybe we have a live stream talking about this kind of stuff. All on Twitch, twitch.tv/Senestin. I might find the time to go live if more people are interested in this kind of thing. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to subscribe, turn on the post notifications. Follow me on all my socials, my Twitter, my Instagram, my Twitch, my TikTok. All those links are down in the description. And I hope that wherever you guys are, whenever you guys are watching this video, that you have a great and wonderful day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. My brother love me, yeah. We all get money, yeah. I love my brother.